Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today, we're going to be covering everything new in Minecraft 1.21.6 for Java Edition, also known as Chase the Skies update. Now, this update will be releasing around the time this video goes live, so let's now jump to what is new within this update. First off, let's cover some of the changes. The first thing we're going to cover is some changes to music and sounds. The first thing, they have added a new option for UI. This is just things like buttons within UIs of the game. They have also renamed the hostile creatures to hostile mobs and also friendly creatures to friendly mobs. And then if we scroll to the very bottom of the music and sounds, they also have added a new option for music frequency, and this is how frequent the music will play while in the game. And the options are default, frequent and constant. And then there is also this, show music toast, and when this is on, by default it will be off. You will see a music toast when you are within menus of the game. But one thing, this will not work if your music toggle is all the way down. As you can see, with it off, nothing shows. With it at least at 1%, you can see the music that is currently playing in the background at the top here. Now, when you are just within the game, it will disappear unless the music is changing. If it's going from this song to a different one, then it will pop up for a few seconds just to show you the song is changing and what one it's changing to. But if you pause your game, it will always show in the top corner as long as this setting is on. Now, Minecraft did also make a change to clouds in this update, and clouds will now render to the very end of your view distance. As you can see, if I look around, the clouds go way into the horizon. This can be controlled with a new video setting right at the bottom called cloud distance. By default, this is set to max, which is 128 chunks, but you can adjust this if you would like, and you can see the clouds are a lot closer to me now. And this can be turned all the way down to 2 chunks where there are no clouds in the sky unless you go up to about cloud height. Now, Minecraft did also change the fog rendering in this update, and as you can see just by looking around, the game does look a lot foggier in the distance. It will also become a little bit foggier when it is raining, as you can see right here. But it's hard to show the fog changes because within YouTube videos, it's not as obvious as if you was to jump into the game yourself. Now, also in this update, Minecraft added a new recipe for saddles, as well as changing the recipe for leads. And the recipe for leads is like so. They have just replaced the slime ball with another piece of string, so they're a lot easier to obtain early game. And then the saddle recipe is 3 leather and 1 piece of iron. And with this change, they have also removed saddles from a lot of structures, like you could find them in mob dungeons, you could find them in villages. They have been replaced with just pieces of leather. So as you can see, this mob dungeon right here just has some leather in the chests, which you can then get out and craft into a saddle, or you can also turn it into things like bundles. Now, before we jump to some of the new features, let's cover one of the final changes. And this is if you put saddles on things like pigs or striders, you can now click shears on them to remove them. This works for horse armor on horses, or saddles on horses. It also works for carpets on llamas, and also harnesses on the Happy Ghast. But it's mainly useful for pigs and striders because these don't have a GUI to remove the saddles. But if I quickly just show you, this horse right here now has a saddle on and also horse armor. And if I was to sit on it, you can see I can see the items right here. But if I was to click it with shears, the horse armor gets removed first, and then the saddle gets removed second. One thing to note about this feature though, it does not work with dispensers. And also it will not work if the mob you are trying to shear has a passenger. And while we're on the topic of horses, donkeys and mules can now be fed carrots to heal them up, as well as improve their chances of being tamed. So if I quickly just punch this horse a few times, you can see it's losing 1.5 hearts. If I now click a carrot on it, you can hear it eats it, and you can see it's healed up. You cannot use carrots to breed horses though. So for the first new feature, we need to head to the Nether and find ourselves a Soul Sand Valley, which it seems like we have found one right here. And we've also found the first new feature, which is a dried ghast. These can be located in Soul Sand Valleys inside the Nether at fossil structures. Now, do note, if you have generated your world prior to this update, they will not generate at fossils that's already been loaded before you update to this version. But don't worry, because if you have loaded most of your Minecraft world, you can also craft them with 8 ghast tears and a soul sand block, and that'll get you 1 dried ghast. Or if you don't like the crafting recipe, there is also a chance piglings can barter them. Now, it is quite a low percentage. It has around the same rarity as ender pearls. Now that we have got ourselves a dried ghast, we need to head back to the overworld because they have no use within the Nether. Once you head back to the overworld, you need to place them within water. This can be done by placing them within a water source or waterlogging them with a bucket. And this will also give you a new achievement, which is inside the husbandry tab. And this is stay hydrated for placing a dry gas block in water. Now, while we are leaving this to hatch, it takes about 20 minutes to hatch. But while we are waiting, there is another new advancement within this update, and that is to place a creaking heart within 2 pale oak blocks. Now, one thing to note, it does need to be directional. So if I do this, this does not work. But if I was to do that, you can see I get the heart transplanter. And this is just for placing it with the blocks matching up like so. Now, coming back to this has a few different stages it goes through. It takes 20 minutes for it to hatch. There is no way to speed this up. But if I quickly just click on it, you can see that the different stages, this is stage 1, then we have stage 2, stage 3, and then stage 4. And then after this stage, it will grow into a gasling. Now, a few other things to note about these is that they can be picked up with your fist and they insta-break. If you leave them outside of water and they was to stage up, so if I was to quickly just cheat this one with a debug stick, if I was to place it in water and it was to get to this state and I was to remove the water with a bucket, it will then slowly age down again to the very first state. But it does take time for it to do so. After about 20 minutes of it being placed down, you'll get yourselves a gasling, which you can see right here. Now, this is a passive mob and it just wanders around its home position, the home position being the block it was aged on, and it will also follow adult passive mobs. It will also follow players. So as you can see, it's randomly coming up to me and following me, although it's very inconsistent, so you can't use it to lure them somewhere. Now, these will slowly age up into an adult ghast. They can also be tempted with snowballs, but you can speed up the process by giving them snowballs. They will go from a ghastling into a adult version within about 20 minutes of not clicking them with any snowballs. So if I quickly just speed this up, because the adult version is where the fun comes from this mob. And this is what the adult version looks like. This is the happy ghast. The happy ghast will once again wander around its home position, the home position being where it was grown up or where you interact with it with a harness. Harnesses being new items within this update, which are crafted with leather, 2 glass, and then also a piece of wool depending on the color of harness you want. And if we grab one of these harnesses, there's 2 ways to tempt a happy ghast. First off, with a harness or with snowballs. If I hold this harness, it will slowly come to me. Now, it will only come to me if I'm holding a harness if it's not currently got one equipped. But if I click this harness on, you can see it's now wearing a harness, meaning that I can jump on this happy ghast and ride it around my Minecraft world. You will also see that when it has a harness equipped, the goggles will go down to cover its eyes. Now, one thing I can't show, but happy ghasts can have up to 4 players riding them. They will be on each side. So one will be here. This is the controlling passenger. Then it will have one here, and also one here. They don't have any sort of hunger or anything. They do have health. Their health will slowly heal if they are above clouds and also if it's raining. There's no way to speed them up. They're not affected by speed potions, sprinting, or anything like that. But also, the another cool thing about them is, as you can see, every time I jump off it, it stops moving and it snaps either north, south, east, or west. And this is because you can build with them. Now, you cannot place blocks on them. As you can see, I'm clicking and I cannot place a block. But if I was to quickly just go down here and I was to build up with some blocks, let's fly to our platform over here. I can now either sit on the happy ghast and place blocks up here, or I can jump off it, stand on top, and then place blocks like so. Now, also, when you jump on a happy ghast, you can see your screen does zoom out, and this is just so you get a better view around you. It's only affected by the happy ghast, and it's also not changing your FOV. So if you change your FOV, it's still affected by this. Now, some other changes which also link back to happy ghast. Leads. With the recipe change, Minecraft did also update leads. If you was to click on a mob and then crouch and click on a different mob, it will attach them 2 mobs together, with the final mob you clicking on will be the controlling mob. So this cow was the final one I clicked on, meaning this cow will now tell this cow where to go, and I can carry on doing this. So I've now attached that baby. I can also attach this brown sheep. Okay, it seems like you cannot attach mobs to baby mobs. That's something I've just learned, but I can obviously attach this baby mob to the adult mob. Now, how does this tie in with the happy ghast? Let's attach a lead to this cow, and let's now drag it over here. Let's now crouch and click, and you can see all these mobs are now in a train connected to the happy ghast, and the Happy Ghast is dragging them around. Now another new feature with this, the lead texture has been updated to better match Bedrock Edition. It's just been made a little bit thicker. And also, you can shear leads off of mobs just by clicking shears on them. They do also have new sound effects when you equipped it, and also when you take it off, and also when leads break. So if I quickly just get this lead to break, you can hear there is also a new sound effect. Now, Happy Ghasts do also have another cool feature. If I quickly just shear the lead off of these, so we can test the next feature, and that is with bigger mobs. And bigger mobs being things like sniffers, horses, and also boats. Now, if I was to attach a lead to this boat, chest boats do also count for this. And then I was to head to this Happy Ghast and once again crouch and click, you can see the boat has been connected by 4 wires instead of 1. I can ride the Happy Ghast as normal when it has things attached to it. It doesn't affect players riding it. But this is a good way to transport items or mobs around your world because you can put mobs inside that boat, as you can see the Happy Ghast has happily just showed me. But also chest boats can go inside of these boats, so you can move items around your world. And also it's not limited to one. I can now attach this one, which has attached a second one. And there is no limit. The limit is when they start colliding with each other and causing conflictions where they then break each other. But this is such a cool feature. I can also do it with the sniffer. So if I was to do that, that has attached a Happy Ghast to me, which I didn't want to do. There we go, the sniffer is now attached by all 4 as well. This is such a cool feature, and it's definitely going to be useful for transporting mobs as well as items around your world. But once again, jumping back to attaching mobs to each other, you can also attach boats to each other. So if I was to just place a row of boats right here, once again, these can have mobs inside of them. There's no difference when they have a mob inside. But I can now just go through and attach all of these together. Once again, the final boat you attach to will be the controlling boat. So if I jump in this one, it's going to pull all the other boats in a line, and these having mobs or chests inside means that I can get my items across the world way easier. Now, another change in this update, Ghasts have had a texture update. Their texture has just been updated slightly to match with the resolution of the Happy Ghast. And if we quickly just get a look at it, not many people will notice it. If it wants to look at me, every time I go to its face, it turns around. Not many people will notice the change, but if you look very closely, you can. Now, one of the best features inside this update is a new music disc. There is also new music for the menu, but I'm not going to cover this because there's no way to force it to happen. But when you are randomly sitting within your game with the music on, or when you're sitting within the menu, some new songs can play. I will have the playlist linked in the description. But there is one new music disc called Tears. Now, how is Tears obtained? Well, Tears is obtained by killing a Ghast with their own fireball. So if I quickly just show you, doing that right there and getting the return to sender will grant you a music disc. Now, one thing to note, you don't need to get the achievement for it to be granted. If you have already unlocked the achievement, you will still get a music disc. The music disc is a 100% drop chance, and it needs to be killed with a Ghast fireball. You cannot kill it with a sword. This will not count, and if I quickly just show you, no music disc is dropped. I have had the music playing in the background of this video as well, so you can get a hear at what the music disc sounds like. Now let's jump to a few more changes. Splash potions have been changed within this update as well. When you throw a splash potion, the effect you are granted now depends on the hitbox of the potion to the hitbox of the player. So if I was to throw it all the way over there, it won't grant me anything. But if I was to throw it at my feet, it will grant me the full effect. And the further away from my hitbox it's granted, the lower the effect will be. So for example, if I throw it right down here, you can see I've got 8 minutes, which is the max the potion can grant. If I was to then throw it about 1 block away from me, you can see I got 5 minutes. Then if I was to throw it 2 blocks away from me, I got 3 minutes. And that'll slowly go down until it reaches 0. This makes it a bit more consistent with how they grant the effect, and it also makes it so if you have a load of players in one spot, you can throw the potion near their hitbox and everyone will get the same effect rather than having to throw it up in the air. This don't just affect players though, this does also affect mobs. So if I was to throw it directly at the mob's hitbox, they will get the full effect. Once again, the further away from the hitbox, the less effect they will get. Now, a change that a lot of people are not happy about, but they have made, and this is for the leads. And this change is, if you have a lead connected to a mob, and you was to use a firework rocket, the lead will now always snap, even if you have the mob in the air and you use the rocket. No matter what I do, this mob will always now snap when I use a firework rocket. So if I go up in the air and glide, you can see the mob isn't snapping off the lead. I'm moving it perfectly fine. But as soon as I use the rocket, you can see it instantly snaps. Now, the final thing within this update is the locator bar. Now, the locator bar is very hard to show, but I'm going to try my best. Now, for these tests, I'm giving the locator symbols to other mobs just because I'm in single player. But when you play this update, it only works for players unless you change and give mobs the attributes. And for anyone wondering, this can be done just by summoning a mob with the attribute of waypoint transmit range with then a random range. This range will be how far you can see the locator bar from. So for example, in this case, I can see it from 100 blocks away. But if I was to quickly just attach this to an armor stand so it can't really move, but I can show you what it means. That's an armadillo, not an armor stand, but that works just the same. Imagine this is a player. You can see it is now showing me where this player is within the world. Now there's a few ways to get rid of your locator bar, and that is when you crouch, when you use invisibility potions, and also when you wear mob heads. So if I now summon one for a armor stand, you can see I now have two, which if I look this way, you can see one right there for the armor stand and one over there for the armadillo. Now, if I was to go in creative mode and give this one a mob head, let's just give it a pigling head, you will see that the locator bar for this one will vanish. And that is because the game sees it as disguised. Once again, this is the same for crouching and also using invisibility potions. Now, if I quickly just show you the game rule, if I do /game rule locator bar and then set this to false, you can see the locator bar is completely removed. So if you don't want this within your survival servers or worlds, you can just disable it with that game rule. Now, one other thing to mention is it affects the XP bar. So as you can see, I can still see my levels when I am within survival mode, but I cannot see how much XP I've got. That will change if you obtain some XP orbs. So if I quickly just click these, you can see for a split second it changes back to my XP, and then after a few seconds it will change back to the locator bar. Once again, if you have the locator bar disabled, then the XP bar works as normal. Now, I think that's everything within this update. There are a lot of bug fixes and technical changes, but I'm not going to cover them. Now, this update was quite a small one compared to what we have seen, but that is okay because drops do vary in size. I can't wait to see what the next update has in store, which we should see in snapshots very soon. Let me know what you guys thought of the final version of this update. But anyway, that is where I'm going to end this video. I hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.